1.7 of the 10-point program say it.
So I guess your kids can't be free thinkers and choose to have their own rhetorics and ideologies? Sounds like propaganda to me.
We want an immediate end to police brutality.
Finish it.
In the murder of black people and people of color and oppressed people.
By what means?
By any means necessary.
By what means?
By any means necessary.
By what means?
By any means necessary.
You know, this sounds real from a guy who was in prison and was also still associated with the drug lord, even though he's trying to have his family rest at peace with peacefulness, and the mother is also trying to get them out of the hood, but he's saying it's perfectly fine. By any means necessary should include both positive and negatives, not just negatives. By any means necessary, he's also implying brute force, when in the beginning of the movie he's also telling his kids to put their hands on the dashboard, go yes officer, no officer. You're implementing a contradiction into the kids' brains, which will never work, because that's how propaganda will always work. You have failed your kids. You are nothing but a thug.
Use it.
So, I guess you're not gonna get over it anytime soon.
Get over it.
Yes, get over it.
You can't even see that you're acting racist, huh?
And how is she being racist? To be racist, you have to have a sense of inferiority or superiority towards yours or others' races. She was simply asking how you're doing because you've been in a slum, wearing a little KKK hoodie for weeks. When a situation that happened with your friend getting shot was something you could not control, because your friend was ignorant. Because he decided to be all ignorant instead of actually following the rules of the cop, whether he was in the right or wrong. That's why she's asking if you're okay. If you're solely basing why she's asking you is she okay based off of your race and your color, that means you did not trust her friendship, and you are a horrible friend. Side note, if you thought Star was already an irrational nut, just wait to see how she gets in the next clip.
It's all our and us and Black Lives Matter, girl, until you clutch your purse when you're in the elevator with the black person.
Wow, that's pretty discriminatory. You do realize you're using a generalization for all white people. When your white friend Haley is friends with you, who is a full black person who lives in the ghetto, and the worst of the worst, you assume that they are suddenly a racist simply because they don't believe with your rhetoric. That's a generalization that is very discriminatory on white people. Because if you use generalization, I could. What if I could say all black people are robbers? You're using a generalization to fit your agenda when it shouldn't work at all. And it doesn't.
You don't need to use the N-word and use a fire hose on black people to be racist, Haley. You're different, Star. I'm different. What, I'm the non-threatening black girl? Yeah, you are.
Oh, Haley, I wouldn't say that. She's about to turn all ape brain on you. Oh no.
Yeah, you are. Your friend wasn't. He was a drug dealer.
Nice.
Someone was probably gonna kill him eventually.
Dang, man, I love this Haley girl speaking up. She's honestly speaking the 100% truth about bad black culture. Not black people, black culture. He was a drug dealer. It doesn't matter whether or not, he couldn't access it. He can get a job, he can do anything, but he chose to sell drugs.
Yes. The officer did see a weapon. He saw a hairbrush. That looked like a weapon.
Okay, that was too funny. I like it how like a minute ago she was just mentioning Haley clutching her purse when a black person walks in the elevator, yet Star proceeds to steal her brush, which you will see later that she uses to assault her to try to prove a point, which she could just talk facts and statistics, but no, she'll go ape mode and get super angry. Ooh, ah.
What about in my hand? Huh? Does it look like a weapon? Does it look like a weapon now? Get on the ground!
I just wanted to move away from the film here real quick and mention how this is why guns should not be banned in America, simply because of the fact that anything can be used as a weapon, whether it is intended to cause lethal or non-lethal harm. As we can see in Star's hand, how she uses it to put Haley on the ground and threaten her life with it to simply prove a point. It's very irresponsible of her, and it shows how it's by the person, not by the gun itself.
Don't move! Don't move before I shoot you with it! What the hell did I just say? Don't move! Haley! Look at me and stop crying!
I have a question though, Star, is that what really happened with your friend Khalil? Or are you just making up something to try once again prove your dumb point? Well, let's look back.
Gonna take his time doing whatever he gotta do.
I'm not playing. Go back.
Yo, but come on, why you messing up my car?
Just listen to him, Khalil.
Hey, all right, chill.
Oh, so that's what happened. So he was going against what the cop wanted him to do because he was all thug life and he was immature. So his death was through his own fruitions. Also, Star was actually telling him to put his hands on the dashboard, and then when he got out of the car, he told him to have his hands on the top of the car, but he chose to put his hands inside. So actually, Star was in the right in the situation to tell him what to do, but he decided to disobey because he was an immature brat. It's unfortunate he died, but that was through his own fruitions. That's right, quiet to your little white boy toy. Even though 5 minutes ago you just complained on your hate for white people and how they're super racist and discriminatory because they don't believe in you, but that's okay. Cry. Cry to your white boyfriend, who probably is a racist Trump supporter. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Everyone wants to talk about how Khalil lived. His life mattered.
Okay, Star, I'm pretty sure you're gonna lose this battle, but let's talk about how Khalil lived. Let's see. He sold drugs to the hood, which have a high rate of black people, which worsen the black community, and he used that money to get himself expensive shoes. I believe they were Jordans, and get himself a nice little fancy car, as other families were suffering through the other family members who were getting drugs. He also died by not listening to the cops' rules, which were not that serious. Honestly, I'm done discussing this movie. There's nothing more to it. You already know, Black Lives Matter, hurrah, hurrah, but yet we break down half of the city, crime rates go up, you know, that type of thing, but all cops are bad and all that good stuff, you know. This is just simply how the West is today. The falling civilization that we are living in today. The fact that we have anti-white, anti-police officer rhetoric, yet nobody chooses to have civil discourse. No one chooses to have a conversation. But because it's so much easier to go on the street, set off Molotov cocktails and throw it at buildings and break down cars and yell phrases and chants that no one cares for. But it's so difficult. It's so difficult just to talk like human beings are supposed to, like civil, especially in America, where you have the right freedoms to talk your mind, as long as it's not inflicting violence on anybody. You know, I find it just really baffling how this is where we are now. The fact that we can't have civil discourse, right? I'm pretty sure people are going to call me a racist and all this garbage, right? Instead of, well, he's just a free thinker. He has his own mindset and own basic beliefs from researching. But that'll never be the case. It'll always be, I'm a white supremacist, racist, and all that stuff, right? This bad cop rhetoric, and I did this specifically because of what's happening right now. I want to start reviewing other SJW, feminist, all that garbage movies, but I wanted to do this one specifically first because of what's happening. We already know the riots. They're not protests, they're violent riots that have killed numerous people, majority of them being black. And it's just horrible names such as David Dorn, Patrick Underwood, I believe. You know, you can name George Floyd, you can name Philando Castile. The difference between them and David Dorn is that they were actually rightful citizens, whereas the George Floyds and the Philando Castiles were scum of the earth. If they weren't dead now, they'd be in prison, and if they were to somehow get out of prison, they would probably end up killing somebody or be the cause of someone's death because of their chosen lifestyle. Stop following this nonsense rhetoric. If you choose to have different political beliefs, that's perfectly fine. But if you think it's completely justified to just break into buildings and hurt people simply because of the color of their skin, not because of the content of their character, you're a terrible person. Why must we always assume Republicans are racist? Why must we assume that, you know, conservatives are horrible, bigoted people, right? I always want to call people who lean that way Nazis. They don't even know the history of the Nazis, the fact they were more left-leaning, actually, with gun control policies, government control, you know. This is a fun little review. I want to continue making these videos where I, you know, make jokes about and stuff, but I also want to have a little political commentary at the end. To say this is just hypocrisy. You can watch these movies perfectly fine, but if you agree with the rhetoric of this girl, Star, or any of the other black people in this movie that, you know, say, oh, I don't know, right? I didn't show, there was a clip I didn't show with, I believe it's Star's uncle. He's a black police officer, and she asked him questions about why, you know, Khalil was shot. He was completely justifying what he was saying. You have to understand the situation, the time of day, who is this individual, right? But then they messed it up by saying, well, I wouldn't care if it was a white or black person. A cop would never say that. This movie's full propaganda. You know, I just want to leave a message of that. Be a free thinker. Don't care what people say. Understand your beliefs, your rhetorics. And thank you for watching this video.